Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places.
After a 50-point night against the LA Clippers, Steph Curry became the first player in NBA history to score 10,000 career points on three-pointers alone. We know this is probably no surprise to anyone, since Steph Curry is currently the three-point leader in the NBA with 3,447 points, being the NBA three-point leader 7 times. But with his clutch three-pointers also comes clutch moments where Steph helped the Golden State Warriors come back in games that felt like there was no hope. Here's the top moments in Steph's career where coming back felt impossible. By the end of this video, you're going to feel like Adidas. Impossible is nothing. Over the years, people have made videos on what it's like to guard Steph, such as RDC World 1.
You act like I'm gonna shoot right now, bro. Like, chill.
You right.
Oh, got you.
And it's hilarious because deep down inside, there's truth to this. Right when you think Steph is going to shoot, he does, and when he does, the swish sound hits you right in the face.
Fell down, it's an ankle breaker, 3 for Curry!
Each comeback we're about to walk through is going to either be a nightmare if it's your team he beat, or a miracle if you're a Warriors fan. Either way, these are unforgettable moments of resilience and rising above expectations. So with all that being said, let's dive right into it. On April 23rd, 2015, the Warriors were in New Orleans against Anthony Davis for Game 3 in the first round of the playoffs. The Warriors were up 2-0 in the series and likely didn't see this type of game coming after winning the first 2 games. The Pelicans had to bring heat this game so they could avoid a Game 4 elimination. And, well, they did exactly that. By the end of the third quarter, the Pelicans were up by 20 points with a score of 89-69 and a 98.7% probability of winning. The Warriors entered the fourth quarter with 12 minutes to come back and brought the same fire that the Pelicans started off with. Steph Curry put up 10 points in this quarter, but throughout the game, he led the team with 40 points. There were 9 seconds left in the game, and the Warriors managed to close the 20-point gap to 3 points and a score of 108-105. And then this happened.
And Curry will let it go for 3, comes up short, offensive rebound, Curry again, and Curry hits a 3!
You know what's crazy about this is that Steph missed the first shot with 5 seconds left. They still get the rebound and the ball back to Steph with 2 seconds left, and he drains the three-pointer to bring the game to overtime. From this point on, it was neck and neck up until the last minute, where Steph finishes the game off for the Warriors and clinches the overtime win at 123-119. Now, if you thought this was the last time the Warriors had to deal with a 20-point gap with the Pelicans, think again. Fast forward 8 years later. On March 28, 2023, the Warriors were down by 20 points again against the Pelicans with 38 seconds left in the second quarter. At this moment, the Pelicans had a 93.6% probability of winning, but clearly we've seen this before, and so has Steph. So with that said, Steph comes through being Steph, still chooses to respond with a typical three-pointer before the quarter ends. In the first half, Steph put up 17 points, but by the second half, he turned up the heat and put up 22 points along with 8 three-point shots throughout the whole game. So in total, Steph put up 39 points to contribute to a comeback from a 63-43 deficit to a win of 120-109. Coach Steve Kerr mentioned that we need his fire, and that's what we're going to get in the next comeback. We all remember the 2015-2016 Warriors with a historic record of 73 wins and 9 losses. In the third round of the playoffs, the Warriors were down 3-1 in the series against Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. The record-breaking season came to a standstill, and it seemed like hope was all lost, especially after Steph suffered a sprained MCL against Houston in the first round, and yet still came back to win the series in Game 5 and 6. Many doubted whether Curry and his leadership could still be the driving force behind the Warriors' regular season success, and return in what felt like their dying moments in the series. During Game 5, with the Warriors on the verge of elimination, something needed to happen. Steph Curry ended up leading the team with 31 points and 6 assists, while Klay Thompson put up 27 points that game. That said, Kevin Durant put up 40 points and Russell Westbrook had 31 points. Both teams were playing like it was life and death, which, well, in this case, it kinda was. Heading into the fourth quarter, Steph started on the bench along with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. The Warriors had a small lead of 81-77 to start, but the Thunder stayed close. Steph returned last to the court after Klay and Draymond and extended the lead to 105-98. Life started to reignite this team again. After fighting through a nerve-wracking elimination game, the Warriors held it down to keep themselves in the playoffs. Heading into Game 6 back in OKC's home stadium, the suspense was real. During the final minutes of the game, it was tied 101-101. Klay Thompson put up a three-pointer to bring the score to 104.
Thompson fires for three, yes!
To 101, and with a clutch drive from Steph, he put the Warriors up by 6. Now, right when you thought that was the end, with 14 seconds left, Steph intercepts an inbound pass to give the Warriors possession and takes a foul to really clinch the game with a 108-101 win, forcing a Game 7. OKC was silent. Now, it's really a do-or-die situation for both teams in Game 7. OKC had the lead all game until the third quarter. The game was now tied at 54, but at 6 minutes and 24 seconds, Steph came in doing what Steph does and makes a 25-foot three-pointer to gain the lead. This was the turning point that night, and the Warriors responded. Steph made 24 points in the second half and led the team with 36 points all game and hit 7 three-pointers. Golden State had life again and went on to win the series from a 3-1 deficit. February 4th, 2015. The Dallas Mavericks jumped to a 24-4 lead in the first quarter, eventually jumping to a 22-point gap at 40-18. It pretty much felt like it was going to be a wrap, and the Mavs had this game in the pocket. In the second quarter, Steph only scored 4 points, but on the plus side, they closed the gap at 62-58 for the Mavs. Quarter 3 is where that fire in Steph came back. He put up 26 points and hit 6 of his 7 three-pointers. By the end of the third quarter, Steph and the Warriors managed to close the gap and bring themselves ahead of the Mavs at 101-98. Once the fourth quarter started, Steph led the team in points again with 10 and ended up keeping the lead for the rest of the game. The Warriors overcame a 22-point deficit, and Steph put up 51 points along with 10 three-pointers. That same night, history was made between Steph and Klay Thompson, as they became the 7th set of teammates in NBA history who both had 50-point games in the same season. Now, if you thought being down by 22 was a lot, let's go back another 2 years to December 3rd, 2013. The Toronto Raptors were in the Oracle Arena this time, and the game was neck and neck, tied at 14 apiece in the first quarter until the Raptors took a 7-point jump to bring the score to 21-14. As the game went on, the gap started to get bigger, and by the end of the second quarter, it was 65-48, and the Warriors now down by 17. They really did not have a good first half, and neither did Steph, only scoring 4 points. And right when you thought that was the end of it, the Raptors started the third quarter with 10 points, while the Warriors had 0, making the score gap 75-48. A 27-point lead. At this point, it's a nightmare as the Warriors are now probably having flashbacks of other big losses they faced, such as their loss against the Chicago Bulls the year before being down by 36 points in the fourth quarter and a score of 101-65. Unfortunately, they didn't recover from that with a loss of 113-95. But that wasn't going to be the same fate again for the Warriors. After the 27-point gap, the Warriors started to fight back. By the end of the third quarter, they closed the gap to 18 with a score of 88-70. But the fourth quarter is where absolute craziness happened. The Warriors put up 42 points, while Steph led with 14 points. In the second half overall, the Warriors scored 64 points to make the comeback. Steph helped bring the team back with 27 points and 10 assists that game. The Warriors went on to overcome the gap and won 112-103 against the Raptors.